Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the story of one of the Bible's most famous women, Sarah. But we're not just retelling her story, we're going to use it to unpack a really powerful idea our source material calls the conclusion of faith.
So let's just jump right in. What is the conclusion of faith? I know, it sounds a little abstract, maybe even a bit intense, but stick with me because by the end of this, you're going to see just how game-changing this idea really is.
Okay, so our starting point is someone you almost definitely know, Sara. And here's what's interesting. The source material points us to her spot in what's often called the Hall of Faith in the book of Hebrews. Now, that alone tells you something, right? She's not just some side character in Abraham's epic story. She's an unexpected hero in her own right, with a huge lesson to teach us.
And this is where it all connects. The source we're looking at holds up Sarah's story as the key example of this powerful spiritual principle it calls the conclusion of faith. So her life, it's not just some ancient history lesson. It's actually a blueprint, a kind of template for understanding a much deeper truth about how faith really works.
So you might be wondering, how in the world does her story unlock this whole concept? Well, according to our source, it all boils down to one single, pivotal Greek word. Seriously, this entire massive idea hangs on getting this one word right.
All right, here it is. The verse at the absolute heart of this whole thing. Hebrews 11, verse 11. Now, most Bibles you pick up will say something like, by faith, Sarah herself also received strength to conceive seed. And for centuries, everyone has read that word conceive in a very physical, biological way. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if there's more to it?
That key word is a Greek word katabalia, and this is where the puzzle starts. You see, this word can mean two very different things depending on how it's used. And that, right there, creates a huge question for anyone trying to understand this passage.
Now check this out. This is where the source's argument gets really, really interesting. The word katabale shows up 11 times in the New Testament. 10 of those times, it's translated as foundation. Only one time, this one time, right here in Sara's story, is it translated as conceive. I mean, that's a massive red flag, isn't it? It's a huge outlier. You've got to ask yourself, why?
And that leads us right to the source's main point. The argument is that katabole here doesn't mean the physical act of conceiving a baby at all. It means the foundation of a posterity, a lineage. So Sarah's faith, it wasn't about her body suddenly being able to do something impossible. Her faith was in God's promise to establish a foundational family line through her.
Okay, so with that foundation laid, yeah, pun totally intended, let's pull back from the Greek grammar for a minute and get back to the human story. Because this isn't just a language lesson, right? It's about a really profound journey, from doubt to a kind of divine joy. And it's all wrapped up in this amazing theme of laughter.
So the story gives us two very different laughs right at the beginning. First, there's Abraham. When he hears God's promise, he falls on his face and just laughs. It's this beautiful moment of pure joy and worship. But then there's Sarah. When she first hears the news, she laughs within herself. It's this quiet, hidden, almost sarcastic little laugh, right? It's a laugh of doubt grounded in the cold, hard fact of her age.
But that's not where her story ends. Oh, not at all. Because after the promise comes true, Sara's laughter is completely transformed. She actually shouts, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." See the difference? This isn't that quiet, doubtful chuckle anymore. This is a loud, public, unrestrained laugh of pure, authentic, God-given joy.
And this whole transformation gets cemented in the most incredible way. The name they give their son, Isaac, literally means laughter. How cool is that? He is a living, breathing, walking reminder that God takes our human impossibilities and our doubtful little chuckles and turns them into pure joy.
Okay, but this story isn't just about a family drama. It's not just about two sons. The source material takes this whole situation and expands it into something much, much bigger. It becomes this powerful allegory for an internal struggle, a battle that, it argues, every single believer faces inside themselves.
And the contrast between those two sons is everything. You've got Ishmael, who was born because of human effort, right? Abraham and Sarah trying to help God out. He represents what our source calls the old nature, or the flesh. And then you have Isaac, who was born purely because of a divine promise. He represents the new nature, or the spirit. It's this classic conflict, human striving versus divine gift.
And look, This isn't just someone's clever idea or interpretation. This is straight from the Apostle Paul. In the book of Galatians, he makes this exact connection. He says, "But as he who was born according to the flesh then persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit, even so it is now." He's saying that this conflict, this internal friction, isn't just an old story. It's happening right now, inside of us.
So what was the solution in the original story? Well, it was pretty blunt. It was, cast out the bondwoman and her son. And the source uses this to make a really stark point. You can't fix the old nature. You can't improve it. You can't reform it. You can't negotiate a peace treaty with it. The only solution given is to remove it from its place of power.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together. This is the so what moment. How do we take all this, the Greek words, the story of laughter, this whole allegory, and actually apply it to our own lives? How do we get to our very own conclusion of faith?
Well, the key seems to be in this mental step we see described in Romans chapter 4. It says Abraham considered his own body already dead. Think about that. He didn't pretend the problem wasn't there. He faced the impossible facts head on. And yet, the verse says, he did not waver at the promise of God. He stared reality right in the face, and he chose to believe God's promise over it.
So, our source basically breaks this down into 4 practical steps. Step 1, acknowledge reality. Admit the old nature is there, and yeah, it feels powerful, just like Abraham looked at his own old body. Step 2, believe God's promise anyway, even when it feels totally counterintuitive. Step 3, and this is the big one, reckon your old nature as good as dead. Count it as powerless to produce anything for God. And finally, step 4, rest. Just rest. Stop trying to fix yourself and just rest in what God has already finished.
And this, right here, is the payoff. This is the goal. The source says that real peace, that kind of God-given laughter that Sara found, it doesn't come from being locked in this endless, exhausting fight with your old nature. It comes from concluding that it's already been defeated. It's a complete shift in perspective, from constant striving to peaceful resting.
So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to chew on. Based on everything we've looked at today, what if real faith isn't about trying harder, gritting your teeth and just trying to be better? What if it's actually about trusting more completely in what's already been done for you?